Aliens killed 7 million humans on live broadcast. Earth wiped their species out. The morning started like any other on Earth. People walked through streets, drank coffee, talked on phones, and worked in offices. The sun rose over cities and villages alike. Everywhere, life moved normally. But no one knew that by the end of the day, everything would change forever. John Carter was sitting in the small office of the communications center in New York. He checked the monitors for routine messages from satellites and space stations. Nothing unusual had appeared for months, but suddenly a signal came through that made his stomach turn. It was not a signal from a known satellite. It was something else, something bigger. On the same morning, Laura Miller worked in a hospital in Chicago. She was helping patients, writing notes and giving medicines. She had a calm day and everything seemed normal. Then, a message on her phone flashed in red. The screen showed live images of people she did not know, but somehow they felt familiar. Her heart began to race. The signal reached millions of devices on Earth at the same time. Televisions, computers, and phones showed the same thing. It was a broadcast from an alien civilization. Their ships floated above distant planets, far away from Earth, but their message was clear. "Humans," said a voice, rough and cold. It did not come from speakers but seemed to fill the room like air. "This is a warning. 7 million of your people will die in front of your eyes." People could not believe it at first. John Carter leaned forward, gripping the edge of his desk. He thought it might be a test, a fake, or a simulation. But when the images appeared, all doubt disappeared. Across the screens, humans from cities around the world were suddenly gone. The broadcast showed them disappearing in silence, one after another. Laura watched in horror. She could see families in small towns, workers in factories, children playing in parks. Then one by one they were gone. She felt a strange weight in her chest. She had helped so many patients, but now it felt as if the world itself was broken. Tears ran down her face, but she could not move. John tried to call his coworkers. Phones did not work. Signals were jammed by the alien broadcast. Everyone in the city was staring at screens, frozen in shock. In New York, a group of children watched their school monitors, not fully understanding but feeling the fear in the air. Parents tried to explain, but they had no words. In Paris, Tokyo, Rio de Janeiro, people were watching the same thing. 7 million humans vanished and the broadcast continued. The aliens did not just kill. They showed it. They wanted Earth to see the suffering. They wanted fear to spread. In a small house in Texas, a family sat together. Jake Brown held his young sister, Emily, close. They watched the broadcast, but Jake refused to let his fear show. He whispered, "We will find a way. We have to." Emily nodded, though she did not understand. All she knew was that the world had changed. On the streets of Washington, a crowd formed. People ran to see the images on big screens in public squares. Sirens sounded. Emergency messages told people to stay calm, but calm was impossible. The aliens had shown that no human was safe, and yet the crowd did not scream. There was shock, disbelief, and sorrow. They did not panic. Something deeper began to grow, a quiet determination. Back in New York, John worked with his team to analyze the broadcast. He noticed something the aliens did not intend. The images showed patterns, locations, and timings. It was not random. Someone could use this. The aliens thought they were showing power, but John saw a hidden opportunity. Laura left the hospital for a moment, needing air. She walked through the empty streets, noticing how silent the city had become. Cars stopped, people frozen, birds silent. The sky seemed darker than normal. She felt anger building inside her. Humans had been humiliated, and now she wanted answers. As the hours passed, news from around the world came in. Leaders held emergency meetings. Scientists worked nonstop to understand the alien technology. Ordinary people shared messages of hope and unity. "We will survive," said one banner in London. "We will remember," said another in Mumbai. Fear was strong, but something stronger began to grow, the desire to act. In John's office, he and his colleagues mapped the alien ship's paths. Each signal, each pattern gave them small clues. They could not fight directly yet. Humans had no weapons to reach the stars, but they could plan, they could learn. The broadcast, meant to crush humanity, had given them knowledge. Laura joined a group of doctors and volunteers. They shared stories of the lost 7 million, noting names, ages, places. They cried, but they also promised each other they would not let this happen again. They began organizing, collecting resources, and thinking about the future. Across the world, families, communities, and cities reacted the same way. Shock and grief were everywhere, but so was the beginning of a collective will. Humans realized something important. They were not just individuals, they were one species. The aliens had tried to divide and destroy them. Instead, they had reminded humans of their connection. John looked at the monitors once more. He could see the alien ships in space, distant but visible. The message was clear: Earth was weak. The aliens expected fear, but John did not feel fear anymore. He felt determination. He turned to his team and said, "They want us broken. We will not be broken. We will survive, and we will make them understand that no species treats humans this way without consequence." Laura, too, felt the same. As she walked past the destroyed neighborhoods and the empty streets, she whispered, "We will rebuild. We will not forget. We will be ready." For the first time, people around the world looked at the sky not with fear but with focus. The broadcast had been meant to terrify, but instead it united them. 7 million lives were lost, millions more mourned. But the seed of humanity's response had been planted, and somewhere in the darkness of space, the aliens watched, expecting screams. Instead, they saw silence. And in that silence, humanity's first thoughts of retaliation were born. Night fell on Earth, and cities that once felt normal now felt empty. Yet across the planet, lights burned in homes, offices, and laboratories. People stayed awake. They whispered plans, made lists, checked systems, and trained minds. They were learning, watching, and preparing. The broadcast had shown power, yes, but it had also shown a weakness. Humans could learn from suffering. Humans could unite. Humans could survive anything. John Carter looked out the window at the stars. He thought about the aliens, their weapons, their cruelty. He thought about the millions who had died, and then he thought about what humans could do when they worked together. He smiled faintly. It was not a happy smile, but it was strong. It was a human smile. Laura returned to the hospital, checked on remaining patients, and helped organize emergency relief. She talked to volunteers, coordinated resources, and kept track of the missing. She saw hope in their eyes. The aliens had shown their worst, and humans had seen it. But humans had also seen their own strength. As the night grew deeper, Earth seemed quiet, but it was not. Beneath the calm, humans were moving, planning, thinking, learning. A species had been attacked, humiliated, and slaughtered, yet the world had not fallen. It was just the beginning. The broadcast had ended, but the real story was only starting. John Carter turned off the last monitor for the night. He whispered to himself, "They will not get us again. Never again." And in that moment, he knew it was not just hope. It was a promise. A promise made by all humans everywhere to never forget, to never surrender, and to rise stronger than before. And so, the first day after the broadcast ended, the aliens had killed 7 million humans and expected Earth to crumble. Instead, humanity began to rise, silently, steadily, and with a will the galaxy had never seen. The morning after the broadcast was quiet, but it was not empty. Across the world, people woke with the memory of what had happened still fresh in their minds. 7 million humans had died, and every screen, every device, every mind remembered the images. Yet, instead of panic, a new feeling spread: determination, a desire to act. John Carter returned to the communications center. His office was full of colleagues, all tired, all shocked, but all focused. They began examining the alien broadcast in detail. Every frame, every signal, every pause was studied. The aliens thought they had shown power and fear, but John and his team saw something else: patterns, routines, predictable paths, weaknesses. "Look here," John said, pointing at a monitor. "They are not random. Each segment repeats. They leave gaps in their coverage. We can learn from this." His colleague, Sam Harris, a young analyst, nodded. "It's like a puzzle," he said. "They are powerful, yes, but they have rules. They follow systems. If we understand the system, we can predict them." Far from New York, in Chicago, Laura Miller organized volunteers. Hospitals were flooded with people who survived the broadcast, injured, or in shock. Laura divided teams, checked resources, and ensured that no one went without help. She also started collecting information about the broadcast: who died, where, and how it happened. Every detail could matter. "We can't fight them yet," Laura said to her team, "but we can prepare. We can learn. We can protect our people." In London, Meg Adams, a historian, studied records of alien civilizations that humans had only glimpsed before. She compared the broadcast with reports of other species' reactions. She noticed something important: the aliens expected fear, humiliation, and division. They thought humans would fight each other instead of uniting, but humans did not panic. Humans did not argue about blame. Instead, they began to organize. "Humans are different," Meg told officials. "We learn from suffering. We adapt. We unite when we are threatened. They think they destroyed us, but they only taught us to move together." In small towns and cities, people acted similarly. Jake Brown in Texas organized local groups. Neighbors checked on each other. Supplies were shared. Children were kept safe. Everyone contributed. The aliens had tried to isolate humans, but humans found each other. They connected. In New York, John and his team began experimenting with communications. They could not reach the alien ships, but they could intercept some of their signals. Tiny bits of information slipped through. It was slow, frustrating work. Weeks passed with little progress, but John refused to give up. Every signal was a clue. Every anomaly was an opportunity. One night, he stayed late, staring at a feed from a distant alien satellite. He noticed that certain transmissions paused for exact intervals. Others repeated in cycles. It was subtle, but he realized something. The aliens did not expect humans to analyze in this way. They assumed fear would dominate. They assumed humans would scatter. Instead, humans focused. Humans studied. Humans adapted. Laura, meanwhile, helped coordinate global volunteer networks. People in Mumbai, Sydney, Rio de Janeiro, Cape Town, and Tokyo shared information. They compared what happened during the broadcast. They mapped patterns, calculated timings, and discussed strategies. They did not yet attack. They did not seek revenge. They prepared. In Washington, a temporary global command center was established. Leaders, scientists, engineers, and volunteers met virtually. Alex Brooks, an engineer, designed systems to protect civilians. He created shelters, transportation plans, and emergency protocols. Each city became more secure, more organized. Humans were learning to survive like never before. Ryan Clark, a strategist in Boston, examined the aliens' history and technology. He could not yet defeat them in space, but he could predict what they would do next. He studied their supply chains, communication networks, and movement patterns. "They have power," he told his team, "but they depend on systems. Disrupt the system and their power disappears." In Chicago, Laura and Meg collaborated. One tracked the human losses, the other studied alien behavior. Together, they realized a truth: the aliens believed death and fear were enough to control humans. They were wrong. Humans did not surrender to terror. They did not bow to spectacle. Humans learned and prepared. In small communities, families contributed too. Children mapped local streets to help with evacuation plans. Older adults shared knowledge from history and science. Everyone found a role. The world became a single organism of preparation. Humans were silent, invisible, yet moving faster than any alien expected. As weeks passed, John discovered more. The alien ships, powerful and distant, relied on communication nodes. If nodes failed, ships could not coordinate. If supply routes were cut, alien fleets would weaken. John shared this with the Global Command Center. The leaders listened closely. No one celebrated. No one shouted. They simply planned. Carefully, quietly, deliberately. Laura's hospital teams expanded. She trained people to assist with medical emergencies, organize food, and manage crowds. People who once felt powerless now found purpose. They could not bring back the dead 7 million, but they could protect the living and prepare for the future. Every action mattered. Every small step built a bigger foundation. In Europe, Meg Adams discovered something else. Alien psychology relied on spectacle. They believed that a species would crumble if it witnessed mass death. She noted, they underestimate patience. They underestimate endurance. They assume we will react with anger or chaos. But humans are more than that. Humans reflect. Humans plan. Humans endure. The aliens watched, expecting chaos, rebellion, panic. But Earth remained silent. Streets were empty, offices busy with research, hospitals full of quiet work. Every human action was focused on survival, learning, and preparation. No one screamed at the stars. No one begged. Humans simply moved slowly but with purpose. In New York, John met with Sam Harris late one night. "We are learning faster than they thought possible," John said. "They want fear. They want weakness. Instead, we are turning their broadcast into information, strategy, and preparation." Sam nodded. "They do not understand us. They assume weakness. That is our advantage." In Tokyo, volunteers shared medical knowledge and supplies. In Sydney, engineers tested ways to predict alien signals. In Rio, strategists mapped trade and supply networks of alien allies. The planet was connected in a way it never had been before. 7 million had died, but billions were alive, awake, and moving together. Laura walked through the hospital one evening. She saw exhausted volunteers, but their eyes were bright. She smiled faintly. Humans had lost so much, but they had gained something else. Unity, knowledge, focus, determination. She whispered, "We are not powerless. We are preparing, and one day we will act." In Washington, global leaders made their first coordinated plans. They did not involve direct attack yet. They focused on building resilience. Communication networks, defense systems, evacuation plans, resource management. Humans could survive anything if they worked together. They could endure, adapt, and strike when the moment was right. Children played in safer zones. Families bonded. Communities strengthened. The aliens had tried to make humans feel small, weak, and fearful. Instead, humans grew stronger in silence. Patience became a weapon. Preparation became a shield. Observation became power. John spent nights analyzing signals. One pattern stood out. Alien ships moved in predictable rotations. Supply drops happened on fixed schedules. Some ships responded slowly to distant threats. Every small error, unnoticed by the aliens, was noted by humans. Each clue was saved, shared, and studied. Humanity was turning suffering into knowledge. In Chicago, Laura organized memorials for the 7 million lost. They remembered each person, each story, each family. Grief was heavy, but it became strength. People were motivated to act, to protect, to ensure the dead had not suffered in vain. Globally, humans created new systems. Networks of communication, protection, learning, and collaboration. Every action was coordinated. Billions moved without central orders, yet perfectly in sync. The aliens had expected disorder. Instead, they witnessed precision. They had assumed weakness. Instead, they saw endurance. In Boston, Ryan Clark studied the alien fleets again. He plotted every known movement, every predictable path, every supply route. He calculated how long humans would need to prepare for coordinated action. Months, maybe years, but humans had time. They had patience. They had knowledge. In New York, John and his team finally intercepted a small alien message. It was brief, but it revealed a command network. They recorded it, analyzed it, and shared the results with Washington. Every new piece of information brought humans closer to understanding the aliens. Laura visited a shelter one night. Children slept quietly, parents rested. Volunteers watched over them. She realized humans had learned an important lesson. Survival was not just about weapons or power. It was about unity, patience, and preparation. Humans had been attacked, humiliated, and slaughtered. Yet they were learning, moving, and growing stronger. In London, Meg summarized it. They wanted us afraid. They wanted us broken. Instead, we are ready. We are learning. We are preparing. They cannot understand us yet, but we will act when the time comes. The world was quiet, but beneath that quiet, humans were awake. They were mapping, training, studying, and preparing. Every city, every town, every small village was part of a larger system. The aliens had believed fear would be enough to control humans. They were wrong. Humans did not need to attack immediately. Humans needed to learn. John looked at the stars late one night. He thought about the aliens, their power, and their cruelty. He thought about the 7 million who had died and the billions who remained, and he smiled faintly. Not because he was happy, but because he knew humans had learned something the aliens would never expect: patience, unity, endurance, knowledge. Laura returned to the hospital and checked her volunteers again. She whispered to herself, "We are ready, we are watching, we are learning. One day they will see that humans are not weak. We will rise, and when we do, it will be complete." And so Earth moved silently. No one shouted at the stars. No one begged. Humans worked together, learned, and prepared. The aliens had shown their worst, but humans had seen their strength. And when the time came, humans would act. The first wave of preparation was complete. The next step was learning to strike without fear, without chaos, and with perfect precision. Humans were patient. Humans were united. Humans were ready to change the galaxy forever. Months passed since the alien broadcast. The 7 million lives lost were still remembered, but the world had changed. Humans were no longer confused or afraid. They had learned from the aliens. They had watched, studied, and prepared. Now they were ready to act in ways the galaxy did not expect. John Carter worked in the New York Communications Center, reviewing intercepted signals again. The alien fleets moved slowly, relying on fixed routines and communication nodes. Every pattern was recorded, every pause noted. Humans could not reach the aliens yet, but they could disrupt their systems in small, precise ways. "Look at this," John said, pointing at a monitor. "They have a supply node here. It's not heavily guarded. If we can block it, even temporarily, their fleets become slower. It's small, but it counts." Sam Harris nodded. "They won't know it was us. They think they are in control. We can strike quietly, and every time we do, we learn more." Far from New York, Laura Miller coordinated volunteers and medical teams. She ensured civilians were safe and hospitals were ready. She also helped organize emergency response networks near key cities. Humans could not yet fight in space, but they could survive on Earth. And survival meant knowledge. "We cannot attack their fleets yet," Laura said to her team, "but we can weaken their reach. We can slow them. We can make them vulnerable without firing a single shot." In Boston, Ryan Clark, the strategist, began plotting the first moves. Humans had discovered that the aliens depended on supply lines between planets. If supply nodes were disrupted, entire sectors of their fleet would be immobilized. No alien expected a species to strike without confrontation, without violence, quietly, with intelligence. Humans were not violent yet. They were precise. They were invisible. In Tokyo, volunteers studied intercepted alien transmissions. Amy Stone, a linguist, found ways to mimic alien codes. "We can send false messages," she told her team. "We don't have to fight directly. We can make them move in the wrong direction, waste energy, and expose weaknesses. Across the world, engineers built devices to interfere with alien communications. They did not need massive weapons. A small disruption could delay fleets, cut supply lines, and give humans time to learn more. Humans had become patient hunters, quiet and careful, watching every movement. In Chicago, Laura held a meeting with doctors and volunteers. She explained the importance of preparation. "Our job is to protect people," she said. "We cannot stop the aliens yet, but we can save lives. And every life we save is a lesson. Every safe step is power." Families and communities joined the efforts. Children delivered supplies. Adults mapped local systems for emergency evacuation. Communities became coordinated, careful, and focused. Humans moved like one organism. The aliens had assumed weakness, but they underestimated patience. In New York, John reviewed a new transmission from the aliens. It was routine, predictable, and full of opportunity. He called Sam over. "This is it," he said. "We can interfere here without them noticing. If we do it right, we slow their operations by weeks." Sam grinned. "And every day we slow them, we gain more information. They think they are powerful, but we are learning faster than they expect." In London, Meg Adams shared her research with other historians and strategists. She explained alien expectations. They believe fear controls species. They believe spectacle crushes minds. But humans are different. We adapt. We calculate. We plan. Every move we make is unseen, but it changes the game. Everywhere, humans acted silently. No one shouted at the stars. No one begged. No one panicked. Instead, they worked together, calculated carefully, and moved with purpose. The aliens expected chaos and weakness. They received calm, patience, and strategy. In Washington, the Global Command Center coordinated the first operation. John, Ryan, Amy, Laura, and other leaders discussed details. The plan was not to fight fleets directly. The plan was to disrupt, delay, and confuse. Every small interference could create large effects. The aliens had never faced such quiet, intelligent resistance. "Our first operation begins tonight," Ryan said. "We will not fight them. We will not attack directly. We will disrupt, delay, and learn. And we will do it perfectly." John and Sam worked late into the night preparing the interference codes. They had no room for error. A small mistake could reveal humans' intentions, but humans were careful, precise, patient. The aliens would not see the threat coming. In Sydney, volunteers monitored communications from a distance. Engineers tested devices to create small disruptions. They laughed quietly when they saw alien fleets react incorrectly to the false signals. Every mistake the aliens made was a victory, silent but real. In Tokyo, Amy tested a new mimicry code. She could send signals that looked official to alien networks. She demonstrated it to her team. "They think this comes from their own command," she said, "but it is us. We are inside their systems without them knowing." Laura checked hospitals and shelters. Civilians were calm. Communities were strong. Every human life protected was another step toward survival. She realized humans had gained more than knowledge. They had gained confidence, unity, the will to act. In New York, John executed the first small interference. A supply node slowed, fleets diverted. The aliens did not understand why. They assumed technical errors. Humans watched quietly, taking notes. Every reaction mattered. Every delay was a lesson. Ryan plotted the next step. Multiple nodes could be disrupted in sequence. Each disruption could create confusion across sectors. Fleets would move incorrectly. Supplies would be delayed. Alien coordination would falter. Humans would learn every detail. In Chicago, Laura and volunteers tracked civilian safety. They were ready for anything. No one panicked when alarms sounded. No one cried out. Humans had learned calm. Humans had learned focus. Humans had learned patience. In London, Meg summarized data for strategists worldwide. They expect fear, she said. They expect chaos. We have given them neither. We have given them patience, learning, and observation, and that is stronger than their weapons. In Tokyo, Amy sent another signal. Another node failed. Another fleet moved incorrectly. Humans documented every response. Every mistake the aliens made was a victory, unseen but powerful. In Boston, Ryan coordinated the next phase. They were not ready for full attack yet. They were preparing for maximum effect later, but every disruption taught them more. Humans were patient. Humans were careful. Humans were unstoppable when precise. In New York, John looked at the screens. He saw the effects of their work. Small, silent, perfect, he whispered. They think they are powerful. They do not see what is coming. In Chicago, Laura watched volunteers rest after long hours. She smiled faintly. Humans were learning, protecting, and surviving. Patience and intelligence were stronger than alien weapons. They had lost millions, yes, but the living were growing stronger every day. In Washington, the Global Command Center reviewed progress. Small, invisible moves were changing the alien network. The first steps of retaliation were complete. Humans had not fired a weapon, not yet. They had not attacked a fleet, not yet. But the first lessons had been learned, the first vulnerabilities discovered. In Sydney, engineers noted that alien communications were now slower and less reliable. Small mistakes multiplied. Humans had begun to rewrite the game. The aliens did not understand how subtle, silent, and effective humans could be. In Tokyo, Amy continued her mimicry operations. Every successful message sent increased human knowledge and influence. Humans had become invisible manipulators of the alien network. The galaxy had never seen a species move this way. In London, Meg noted, they expected chaos, but we gave them order. They expected fear, but we gave them patience. They expected surrender, but we gave them strategy. Every small victory now is larger than any weapon. In Chicago, Laura watched the sunset and thought of the 7 million lost. She felt sorrow, but she also felt power. Humans had survived their worst day. They had studied, learned, and acted. The broadcast was no longer just a memory of death. It had become a blueprint for resistance, a guide for survival, a lesson in patience. John looked at the stars that night. Alien fleets floated above distant planets, unaware of the changes happening quietly below. Humans had struck without fighting, learned without danger, and gained knowledge without detection. Patience, unity, and intelligence had become humanity's weapon, and across Earth, in every city, town, and village, humans moved with purpose. Silent, careful, precise. They were not yet victorious, but they were no longer victims. They were learners, planners, and strategists. The aliens had expected fear. They received strength. The first moves of retaliation were complete. Humans had learned the system, found weaknesses, and acted with precision. No celebration was needed. The galaxy had not yet noticed, but humans knew. They had begun their rise. Laura whispered one last time as she watched volunteers leave the hospital. We are ready. We are patient. We are learning. And when the time comes, we will act completely. They will see humans are not weak. They will see humans never forget. John Carter turned off the final monitor that night. He smiled faintly, not with joy but with resolve. Humans had begun a path no alien expected. Patience, intelligence, and unity were weapons no one had predicted. The broadcast had tried to humiliate. Humans had turned it into strategy. The galaxy would soon learn that humans did not respond like other species. Humans observed, learned, and acted perfectly. The first steps were quiet, invisible, but powerful. Humanity was awakening, and the aliens had no idea what was coming. Months passed since the first human actions against the alien systems. The galaxy remained unaware that a quiet revolution was happening on Earth. Humans had not fired weapons. They had not attacked fleets directly. Instead, they had learned, observed, and struck at weaknesses. Now, the next phase began. Humans were ready to cripple the alien civilization without open war. John Carter sat in the New York Communications Center, watching intercepted signals. Alien fleets continued to move, but slower, less coordinated. Their supply lines faltered, their command networks confused. Humans had discovered patterns, gaps, and weaknesses. Now they would push them to the edge. "This is it," John said to Sam Harris. "We can take control of communications in one sector. If we do it right, the fleet there becomes useless. They won't know who commands them." Sam smiled faintly. "They think they are powerful. They will not see us coming." Far away, Laura Miller coordinated volunteers and medical teams. Hospitals were stronger than ever. Civilians were prepared for emergencies. Communities were organized to protect every life. Humans could now act because they were no longer vulnerable. Every person safe was a step toward total strategy. "We are ready for the next phase," Laura said, "but we must protect people first. The aliens are unpredictable. We must stay calm and precise." In Boston, Ryan Clark, the strategist, mapped alien fleets in multiple sectors. He noticed gaps and delays that humans had created through interference. Fleets reacted slowly to supply problems. Command signals were corrupted by false messages. The aliens were already weakened, and humans had done this without a single open attack. "We can expand our interference," Ryan said to his team. "Every disrupted node will slow them more. Every misdirected fleet increases our advantage. We act quietly, invisibly, perfectly." In Tokyo, Amy Stone continued sending false signals into alien networks. She could now manipulate small fleets, divert supply ships, and isolate commanders. Every move was calculated, every success documented. Humans were using patience, intelligence, and planning as weapons. In London, Meg Adams explained the situation to global leaders. "They believe power comes from weapons and fear. We have shown them that strategy, patience, and unity can destroy fleets without a fight. Every node we disrupt is another step toward ending their power." Across the world, humans acted like a single organism. Small, careful movements added up to large consequences. Engineers disrupted communication lines. Strategists diverted fleets. Volunteers organized protection for civilians. The aliens assumed nothing. They believed humans were weak. They were wrong. In New York, John and Sam prepared the first large-scale interference. Multiple nodes across a sector were targeted simultaneously. Supply lines were cut. Fleets lost coordination. Alien leaders sent commands that never reached their ships. Humans watched quietly, noting every reaction. "They do not understand," John said. "They think this is an error. They do not see that we are behind it," Sam nodded. "And every reaction teaches us more. Every mistake counts." In Chicago, Laura ensured that all civilians were safe. Shelters were reinforced, hospitals ready, and communities informed. She knew the aliens might respond violently if they discovered humans were interfering. Preparation was protection. Humans had learned that survival and strategy went hand in hand. In Sydney, engineers monitored alien fleets. A supply convoy moved in the wrong direction, wasting days. Humans recorded everything. These small errors were the cracks in the alien empire. Patience and precision had begun to break their systems. In Boston, Ryan analyzed the effects. "This is bigger than we thought," he said. "We have not attacked. We have not fired a shot. Yet their fleets are slowed, confused, and weak. Humans are invisible, but we are winning." In Tokyo, Amy manipulated signals to isolate a commander. That fleet could not receive orders for days. Humans had created a situation where the aliens could not respond effectively. Fleets waited, confused, while humans observed and learned. In London, Meg spoke to the leaders. "Our power is not in weapons. It is in patience, intelligence, and coordination. Humans are strong because we work together. The galaxy has never seen this before. We will continue until the alien civilization cannot recover." Across the world, humans celebrated small victories quietly. No parades, no shouting, no violence. Every fleet misdirected, every supply line cut, every communication disrupted was a success. Humans had turned patience and strategy into the most effective weapons imaginable. In New York, John and Sam prepared for the next disruption. This time, they targeted multiple sectors simultaneously. Humans had learned enough to expand operations without mistakes. Alien fleets began to falter. They had power, yes, but humans had patience, unity, and intelligence. Laura watched volunteers as they ensured safety for everyone. Hospitals ran efficiently, supplies were organized, and people moved calmly. Every life preserved was another step toward total strategy. Humans were patient, precise, and powerful. In Sydney, engineers noted that alien fleets had slowed by nearly half in some sectors. Supply delays created gaps. Command networks were failing. Humans had not fired a weapon, but the empire was already collapsing in parts. In Boston, Ryan mapped new opportunities. "We can now control small fleets completely," he said. "They are isolated. They cannot coordinate. Every misstep we create weakens them further." In Tokyo, Amy tested a new signal that mimicked multiple commanders. Several fleets moved incorrectly, wasting weeks of travel and resources. Humans documented every movement. Patience and calculation had replaced weapons as the primary tool of victory. In London, Meg explained to officials, the aliens expected fear. They expected humans to react with chaos. We have shown them order, calculation, and patience. Every day we grow stronger, and every day they grow weaker. In Chicago, Laura checked hospitals one more time before night. Volunteers rested, civilians were safe, and systems were running smoothly. Humans had learned that protection, preparation, and patience were as important as any weapon. In New York, John and Sam executed the next phase. Multiple supply nodes disrupted. Fleets slowed further. Communication errors multiplied. The aliens could not respond effectively. Humans had crippled large sections of the alien civilization without ever confronting them openly. "They do not know what is happening," John said. "They think it is chaos, but it is strategy." "Humans move like one mind," Sam nodded. "And every reaction we record makes the next step easier. We are learning faster than they are recovering." In Washington, the Global Command Center reviewed progress. The operation had succeeded beyond expectations. Alien fleets were slowed, misdirected, and confused. Humans had not fired a single shot, yet the enemy was weakened. The 7 million lost had not died in vain. Their memory had inspired preparation, patience, and unity. In Sydney, engineers watched isolated fleets waste days of fuel and resources. Humans had created a network of silent disruption that the aliens could not fix. Each small victory was invisible to the galaxy, but powerful. In Tokyo, Amy smiled at the monitor. The isolated fleets moved incorrectly again. Humans had created confusion that would take months to correct. She whispered, "We are ready for the next step." In London, Meg told officials, "The aliens expected fear, but we have given them patience and calculation. They expected surrender, but we have given them strategy. Every day they grow weaker. Humans grow stronger." In Chicago, Laura watched volunteers rest and families recover. Humans had survived, learned, and acted. Patience, preparation, and unity had become weapons. Humans had not attacked openly, yet they had struck at the heart of the alien system. In New York, John and Sam prepared for the final phase of the operation. Multiple sectors would be disrupted simultaneously. Supply lines would collapse. Fleets would be isolated. Humans had grown powerful without ever firing a shot. "They cannot recover," John said. "Their fleets are slowing, their commands fail, and their supply lines collapse. Humans have changed the game." Sam smiled faintly. "And they do not even know who is behind it. We are invisible, patient, and precise. We are unstoppable." Across the world, humans continued their silent work. Volunteers, engineers, strategists, and leaders moved as one. Every small action built toward a larger goal. The aliens had shown their worst. Humans had learned. Humans had grown stronger. The first phase of total disruption was complete. The alien empire was weakened, isolated, and confused. Humans had achieved this without violence. Patience, intelligence, and unity had triumphed. The galaxy had not yet noticed, but humans had begun to rise in power. Laura whispered to herself one night, "We are ready, we are patient, we are learning, and when the time comes, the aliens will see that humans cannot be defeated." John turned off the final monitor that night. He smiled faintly. Humans had acted perfectly, invisibly, and patiently. The galaxy had never seen a species like this. The broadcast had tried to humiliate, but humans had used it to prepare, plan, and strike with precision. The aliens had power, yes, but humans had patience, intelligence, and unity. The empire could crumble without a single open battle. Humans had learned that preparation and strategy were stronger than weapons. And across Earth, in every city, town, and village, humans moved with purpose. Silent, careful, precise. No one shouted at the stars. No one begged. Humans acted as one. The aliens had underestimated them. The galaxy had underestimated them. But humans knew their strength. The empire was weakening. Fleets slowed, supply lines cut, and commanders isolated. Humans had not attacked openly, yet the results were complete. Patience, unity, and intelligence had become the deadliest weapon the galaxy had ever seen. Humans were ready. The alien empire was collapsing. Fleets that once ruled sectors of space floated slowly, isolated, and confused. Supply lines were cut, command networks destroyed, and communication signals corrupted. Humans had not fought openly, yet the enemy had fallen. Patience, strategy, and intelligence had done what weapons could not. John Carter sat in the New York Communications Center, watching the final movements of alien fleets. Small signals revealed isolated ships, lost and directionless. "They cannot recover," John said softly. "They have no coordination, no control. They are finished," Sam Harris nodded. "We did this without a single open fight. They never saw it coming. They thought they were powerful. We were stronger." Far away, Laura Miller coordinated relief and recovery on Earth. Cities were safe, hospitals full, communities protected. Humans had survived their worst attack, learned, and grown stronger. They had turned grief into strategy, loss into action, and patience into power. "We have saved the living," Laura said. "Now we can finish what we started. The aliens are exposed, they cannot fight back, and humanity is ready." In Boston, Ryan Clark planned the final phase. Isolated fleets had no supplies, no coordination, and no leadership. Humans would not fight openly. Instead, they would ensure the aliens could not regroup, could not recover, and could not threaten another species again. "We do this carefully," Ryan told his team. "One step at a time. Precision, patience, intelligence. No mistakes. No chaos." In Tokyo, Amy Stone sent the last sequences of false commands into alien systems. Fleets moved incorrectly, collided in space, and stranded themselves on distant planets. Human calculations ensured no civilian lives were harmed. The empire crumbled silently, invisibly, perfectly. In London, Meg Adams explained to leaders, "They expected fear, they expected chaos. Instead, we gave them strategy. They expected surrender. We gave them intelligence." Every fleet isolated, every commander lost, every supply line cut. Humanity has shown that patience and unity can end empires. Across the world, humans observed the final moments. Communities cheered quietly, not with noise but with calm pride. The 7 million lost were honored in silent ceremonies. Each life remembered had inspired every calculation, every plan, every move. Humans had turned tragedy into victory. In New York, John and Sam monitored the final fleets. Signals showed ships drifting, systems offline and commanders lost. Humans had completed what no weapon could do. The aliens' empire had ended. "Look at them," John said. "They thought they could humiliate us. Instead, they are gone. Their empire is finished." Sam nodded. "We did not fight with guns. We fought with unity, patience, and intelligence. This is the human way." In Chicago, Laura walked through neighborhoods, watching families reunite. Children laughed, parents hugged, and communities were strong. Humans had survived unimaginable loss, and now they were free. The world had changed. Humans had grown stronger, wiser, and united. "We are not weak," Laura whispered. "We never were, and now the galaxy knows it." In Sydney, engineers watched the last alien ships drift into silence. Systems failed. Communication networks were gone. The empire could not recover. Humans had acted without aggression, without violence, yet their actions were complete. Patience had become their weapon, intelligence their shield, and unity their power. In Boston, Ryan reviewed the results. Every isolated fleet, every failed supply line, every confused commander, this is perfect. The aliens cannot rebuild. We have ended them without open war. Humans have learned to act like one mind, perfectly, silently. In Tokyo, Amy smiled at the monitors. "We have done it. They are finished. The galaxy has underestimated humans, but no more. Humanity has risen." In London, Meg told leaders, "We have not just survived, we have taught a lesson. No empire, no civilization, no species can humiliate humans and survive. Patience, intelligence, and unity are our greatest weapons. We have shown the galaxy what humans can do." John looked at the stars late that night. The alien empire was gone. Fleets drifted without command, and planets were empty. Humans had not fought openly, yet victory was complete. He whispered, "We have kept our people safe, honored the lost, and ended the threat. Humanity has changed the galaxy." Laura watched volunteers celebrate quietly. Hospitals were full, communities safe, and people prepared for the future. Humans had survived unimaginable tragedy and had learned to rise stronger. The galaxy had underestimated them, but now no one would. In Washington, the Global Command Center coordinated final reporting. Every alien fleet neutralized, every command network destroyed, no civilians harmed. Humans had acted perfectly. Patience, unity, and intelligence had triumphed. "We have finished the mission," Ryan said. "Not with weapons, not with war, but with strategy. The empire is gone. Humans are free. The galaxy has learned the lesson." Across Earth, families celebrated quietly. Children laughed. Communities rebuilt. The memory of 7 million lost remained, honored in every thought, every plan, every act. Humans had learned from loss, acted with intelligence, and risen together. In New York, John turned off the last monitor. He smiled faintly, not with joy but with resolve. Humans had completed what no one expected. The aliens had shown cruelty, humans had shown patience. The galaxy had underestimated a united species, and now that mistake would never be repeated. In Chicago, Laura whispered to herself, "We have survived. We have honored the lost. We have ended the threat. Humans will never forget, and we will never be humiliated again." In London, Meg summarized for leaders, "This is the new truth. Humans endure. Humans learn. Humans act together. Any species that underestimates us will fail. Humanity has shown the galaxy its strength." In Sydney, engineers watched the last alien signals fade. Humans had acted without violence, yet they had ended empires. Patience, intelligence, and unity had been stronger than fleets, weapons, and fear. The galaxy would remember. In Tokyo, Amy recorded every detail of the operation. Humans had not only survived, they had rewritten the rules of engagement. The aliens had thought humans would be weak, fearful, and divided. They were wrong. Humans had acted as one. They had acted perfectly. Across Earth, in every city, town, and village, humans moved together. They rebuilt, protected each other, and honored their dead. They had survived their worst day and had risen stronger. The galaxy had learned that humans could not be humiliated, could not be broken, and could not be ignored. John Carter looked at the sky one last time. The alien empire was gone, fleets drifted in silence. The galaxy was quiet. Humans had won, not through rage or violence, but through intelligence, patience, and unity. The species that tried to destroy them had learned too late. Laura watched communities flourish. Hospitals full, families safe, children laughing. Humans had survived loss, learned from tragedy, and acted together to change the galaxy forever. The memory of 7 million would live in every calculation, every plan, and every act of preparation. In Washington, the Global Command Center sent its final message. The alien threat was neutralized. Humans had not fired a shot openly. The empire had collapsed silently, invisibly, perfectly. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humans could endure, adapt, and act together like no other species. John whispered to himself, "They tried to break us. They tried to humiliate us, but they were wrong. Humans are patient, intelligent, and united. We have risen stronger than ever." The galaxy will never forget this day. Laura, Meg, Ryan, Amy, and volunteers everywhere shared the same thought quietly. Humans had survived their worst. Humans had acted perfectly. Humans had risen. The galaxy had learned that no species should underestimate them. The aliens were gone. The 7 million lost were honored. Earth was safe. Humans had won, silently, strategically, perfectly. The species that once thought it could humiliate humanity had learned its greatest mistake. Humans never surrender. Humans never forget. Humans rise. And across the stars, the galaxy fell silent, not because of fear, but because it had witnessed the quiet, perfect strength of humanity. Patience, intelligence, and unity had rewritten the rules of power. Humans had risen, and no empire would ever test them again. The galaxy would remember Earth forever. Humans had won.